Welcome, 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 everyone. Hello. How are you doing? Let me know in the chat if you can hear me, if you can see me. I can see some people in the chat already networking. We're networking, everyone. So, my name is Magic. I'm gonna be your host for today. Wait, let me mute. I can see my thing. Oh, I can see hellos. That's perfect. Thanks so much. Let me know where you guys are from. I want to know where in the world are you watching from? How far into the season you are? Is it busy season for you or not? We know we are in the middle of the season, and that's kind of the goal of this webinar because we want to share with you some of the practical advices, some ideas, how to make the best out of each wedding you're currently shooting. Oh, my apologize. This is way too loud. And like you're all here thanks to Pic-Time. Pic-Time, you all probably are users of Pic-Time. I hope you are users of Pic-Time. So just to give you like a brief introduction, like what is super exciting about how Pic-Time works, like this is like for me as a Pic-Time user, I've been Pic-Time user since 2017. So I've seen all these new features coming up, like they keep adding new features, like, and those features are actually super innovative, I see. So like gallery, kind of obvious feature, right? Store too, but then we have all these AI features. Have you guys seen the newest like AI face filter? Do you guys use it? It's great. Let me know in the chat. I want to know who uses the face filters in their gallery. It's just working like so perfectly. It's just so well trained. And like I've said, some really good successes, like seeing how it recognizes correct people and so on. And then there are like the newest features that were just introduced, and the one that we're going to be briefly talking about today with some of the guests of the webinar today, one of them being the vendor network. Let me just pull up the screen so you can see. So Pic-Time vendor network. So like this is the feature that allows you to easily share your galleries with specific vendors for your weddings. There is a special now, like the special user type now called vendor. And there's like a whole bunch of features, like the way you can like register vendors to the gallery. So you can first of all send your vendors a link that they can just like simply register in your system. And then when you have them in your system, you can easily be adding them to like the multiple different galleries, because if you're constantly working with the same planners, the same florists. And what is beautiful is how easily it can also create like a specific gallery links for them and like a selection of the images. So you can have this is called AI curated galleries. So if you choose like a florist, so you're inviting a florist to the gallery, the Pic-Time will automatically create a gallery containing mostly photos with the flowers. So you can easily share just that with your with this type of vendor. But also you can choose if you want to add some highlight photos to that as well. So maybe you want your vendors to be sharing some portraits of the couple as well, and so on. Like you can do that within that vendor network. It's beautiful, it's easy, it's quick, and it lets you do it like multiple times across the different galleries using the same type of vendors. So yeah, it's a great feature. I'm gonna briefly maybe talk about that with some of our guests who are working with vendors. Have you used this? I want to know if anyone used this. Let me see the chat. What's happening in the chat? Just use it to share with a venue. That's beautiful. Wow, how was the experience? Let me know how was the experience. Also, if you have some feedback on some of these features, you can put it in a chat. All right. So the guests, we have 4 guests today, and each of them have like some special superpowers actually. All of them obviously are wedding photographers, so this webinar is like specifically for wedding photographers, about practices for wedding photographers, so how you can use like how you can benefit during the season from some of the knowledge that you can hear from today. And first one that I'm going to invite is Miles. So Miles, can I have you coming up here to the screen? Hey, Miles.
Hey man, how's it going?
Very good, my
Good.
friend. Good to see you. Good to
Yeah,
see
it's
you.
great
I
to see you
love
as well.
your setup. It's dark, contrasty. You can
Yeah,
see
dude.
that this guy is a pro. This is a pro.
Oh, just hanging out in the studio. Yeah, I'll be honest, I got to give credit. I actually have my business partners here. He does all the lighting and all of the setup and everything. I just show up and talk. That's literally my role.
Perfect, perfect. I can already tell that you're this type of person that is surrounding yourself with good people to work together to create something awesome. So Miles, tell me, what is your superpower?
Oh man, I mean, a superpower is such a big word, but I'll say this: I find the most value in adding value to relationships, adding value to other people.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just something that, like, as creatives, often we get so hung up on the actual product that we make that we forget how special the experience of making that product can be for other people that don't know how it's made and don't understand how special, being an artist can be. And so I don't know if I would call that a superpower, but I'll say, like, building relationships with people that appreciate what I do
Mm-hmm.
allows me to add value to their lives, and that kind of by proxy ends up making me valuable, which is that's kind of a cool thing.
This is actually very huge because I see like a lot of wedding photographers, like I'm like specifically like myself, I'm in the world of YouTube where everyone is about the gear, software, like all these like technical things or like and then there's like a whole bunch of people that are all about marketing and these machines. And sometimes like you actually do forget about that is all about people and that experience can actually so much elevate your brand. So would you say so like can you like briefly tell me about yourself, like how many weddings you shoot, what type of weddings you shoot, so we can get to know you a bit?
Yeah, man. So I'm a U.S. based photographer. I live kind of in the Mid South in Bentonville, Arkansas. And I've been at this full time since like 2009. So about 600 weddings deep at this point as a company. I think in like 42 states and 13 countries or something like that. So we do a fair amount of travel, and these days work in kind of a higher end market. I think people like way overuse that dumb luxury word, but
Mhm.
in a pretty high end market. And all that our clients have, I guess, in common is a fairly refined vision on how they want their day captured.
Mhm.
And it's very collaborative, and so it allows us to work with really creative, very kind of like high performing clients that have high expectations, but also really want to be a part of the art of all of it. So yeah, I guess that's sort of the elevator speech. I think that took you to 5 or 6 floors. How about that?
And like you shooting this way, it's like how would you say your clients find you? Is it like a mix of things?
I mean, it is, everything that the marketing world, the photo educator world,
Mm-hmm.
often will throw out there. I think is fairly niche in the sense of like making Facebook ads or Instagram ads, or 15 years ago it was having like a great business card, right? And all of those things can be a really beautiful aspect to a marketing strategy, but they're literally just a single ingredient to a marketing strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you don't understand how those ingredients kind of bake into something that's bigger than that one thing, then you're not diversified. And so say Meta shifts the algorithm and all of a sudden the wedding photography market goes upside down, right?
Yeah.
And so what we've done
And we've
for
seen that.
yeah, I mean, we've all seen it done a million times and people panic. But what's funny is the muscle memory kicks in, people's bad habits take over, and they adjust to the new algorithm and they act as though it never happened. And so instead, what we've done over the last 10 years is to understand that by investing in relationships, by building relationships with everything from magazine editors to specific wedding vendors to just prominent people in the community and prominent people in our industry, we're pretty insulated from short shifts in the market. Like the market goes for a downturn. We've heard people say for 2 years now, like nobody's booking. And I'm like, well, man, we're having the biggest 2 years of our career right now. People are booking. They just might not be booking in the same way that they were 2 years ago, right? And so yeah,
Yeah.
most of our clients come in via relationships, whether that
Mm-hmm.
is a relationship on Instagram, which I would call it a relationship. But
Mm-hmm.
more often than not, it's a relationship from a wedding vendor that is just kind enough to view us as a part of their community.
Yeah, but it's like it's so easy. Like I'm thinking like it's so easy to think like, oh, it's about relationships, but like how do you actually do it? Like how do
Yeah,
you actually like you're at the wedding? What do you do
buckle up, man.
differently
We're gonna
than
blow
like any
this.
other
I'm
photographers
gonna
could
take up
say?
the next 2 hours of your time actually going through that. Let's say this. If you view your ability to build relationships with, let's start with clients. Let's start with clients being, the low-hanging fruit. If you view your ability to build relationship with clients based on like roughly the 8 to 10 hours that you're at the wedding, then you're completely negating the 6, 8, 10, 12 months prior and then the time after with those people that you could be developing those relationships. But then I'll go a step further. We've said this on podcasts for years. But 90% of the people at a wedding will never see your photos, but they will all see the photographer. So the way that you conduct yourself, the time that you spend serving the family, the moment that you bend over and help the bride's mom pick up her fork when she drops it, those tiny little opportunities of service, that is building relationships. And what ends up happening is over a period of time, you become, as I said when I started, you become valuable. But fast forward, push that deeper into the industry, for instance, into the vendor market. What do we have? What's the currency that we get to operate in that all of our vendors need? They all need marketing material. So see, we have tens of thousands of images that we will never use.
Exactly.
And that's a currency that they operate in. But instead of us trying to like nickel and dime that or make it transactional, right? Like, if you do this for me, I'll do that for you. The reality is we have these images that we are never going to use. They mean very little to us, right? I may have 40 pictures of a cake from a wedding that I could care less about, but that cake decorator needs that content. And so by simply giving it to them, by just providing them that, now we've built a relationship, and it's not transactional. It's actually me serving them. And the opportunity then pops up that says, well, then why do you act so differently than the other vendors? And again, I'll say it just comes down to a currency. I have more than enough of marketing material. And so what I want back is just the opportunity to build relationships, just to love on people. And man, it's so fun for me at this point to be able to roll into cities all over the country and know the vendors that I'm working with. And that's very rare. Most destination photographers, you show up and you have no idea who you're working with. And for us, often it's sort of the opposite. It's like we're showing up and I already know a lot of the vendor team because they're the reason we're there.
That sounds so good. And I love what you said about like most of the people will like probably not see our photos, but they see us. And so many times, if you're like just a nice person at the wedding, you'll have people saying to you at the end of the wedding, "You're the best photographer I've ever worked with," or like I've seen working, and they have not seen the photos yet, but they can feel the energy. So that's so huge, man. Thanks for sharing.
It's interesting because, like, for instance, I can even see in the chat, I understand the abrasions, right? I understand people's frictions, right? Where it's like, well, commercial licensing is important, or this is all work that you've worked hard for, and it should be valuable. And let me just throw numbers out. How about this? Let's just talk big, high level. If I have a wedding, this is a true story. If I have a wedding planner that provides me roughly $200,000 worth of income a year, and the only collateral to that income is the fact that I give her access to my work with the caveat that I'm always cited as the artist and that she can't edit or adjust that work without my licensing, then I am profiting from that. Right? I'm just not profiting in an instance by instance transactional period, right? But I can track hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of income directly through that one vendor.
That's crazy, right? Man. Like if you think about that and then multiply by 5 or 6 years that you've been doing this.
Yeah. Yes. And that's one vendor. I mean, so again, it's a different way of just looking at people, but I will say this, like, at its heart, being a wedding photographer we're not in the product industry. So in the commercial world, I shoot a lot of commercial work. That's a product. People are paying me for an individual product. But we're not in the product industry. We're in the service industry. We exist to serve people through these emotionally highs and lows, these opportunities to do something that is just authentic and real. And if we're in this for any reason other than just to love on them, there's a reason why most wedding photographers are only in this market for a handful of years, and it's because it's emotionally taxing. So, creating guardrails for yourself that says this is what I'm willing to do, what I'm not willing to do, but then also creating relationships to where you get to work with friends every year. Like we get to roll into new places and say like, hey, it's been 2 or 3 years since I've been at this spot, and who has some fresh ideas? Who's got a great new way to look at it? And then I also don't have to be the hero of every story. I can allow other people to rise to the top, and I can love on the videographers that step in front of me, and I can love on the florists that are 20 minutes late, and I can put my arm around the wedding planner that's stressed out and say like, hey, we are quite literally in this together because my success hinges on your success.
Yeah, that's so well said, man. So, like, you're probably really excited about the vendor sharing feature.
It's so good. It is so good. When we did the walkthrough, man, to have the opportunity. So in the past, what we've always done is basically just we distribute to the client, and then we tell them, hey, we're sending this out to all your vendors. We want your vendors to love this. And then they get this long email that basically says, here's what you can do. Here's what you can't do. We are retaining the rights on these images. If at any point we say you're not using them correctly, legally, blah, blah, blah. But what this allows us to do is to be able to get the right images to the right people instantly. And then when we use repeat vendors, they get to be a part of our network right off the bat. So they're already eager, already a part of this, and they know that our workflow is just seamless and easy for them. Man, it was beautifully well thought out. A lot of the AI stuff that's going on right now is like it's creating as many problems as it's solving, but this is a beautiful instance where like the coding is perfect.
Yeah, I don't know if you know that, and that's also for the audience, but like all the training for like recognition of the faces and things is happening like inside Pic-Time. So this is not some, like the model trained on some images from, Google or somewhere. It's training, from the huge database of the pictures of people, faces, like moments. That's why it's just working so well, because it's just like literally made for what we're doing. And yeah, it's beautiful. Like I've used like the face filter and like all the AI recognitions is just insane. It's crazy. We're gonna be wrapping up your part now.
Yeah.
I have just one more question. Like if someone, like if you could give like one advice, if someone is like at the wedding, let's say next week, what would be the biggest thing to change like immediately? It's an immediate action to take.
Okay, immediate action. That's a perfect way to go about this. If you were a guest at a wedding and you were to see a photographer conducting themselves, dressing, acting, sweating, eating, drinking, just living the way that you do at a wedding, what would you pay you? And that's how I go about everything, is to understand, like, it's so easy for us to say that we feel like we're not getting paid enough or not being valued enough. And then we're rolling into a wedding in torn jeans and combat boots, and we're eating chicken wings in the corner with barbecue sauce all over our mouths, right? So immediate advice is just be the photographer that you want to be perceived as. Take yourself seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously. Love on people and dance and have fun, but don't set that camera down and forget that you're there to do a job. And when you can juggle all of those things just right, all the ingredients come together, and suddenly, like, the stylistic decisions that you make as an artist, it's not that they become less important, it's that they become more valuable.
So good. And I love this, like, to see yourself through the eyes of like the guests and be like, oh my God, how much did they pay this guy?
Yes.
This is so good.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
The flip side is exactly true, right? When you roll into a black tie wedding and you're in a beautiful tuxedo and you're not decked out in weird, like, tactical gear, but you're just holding your camera like you actually know that thing that's in your hands, and you're not stressed when everybody else is stressed, and you understand the schedule better than anybody else understands the schedule. The guests sit back and they have the opportunity to say, like, wow, like, that photographer is completely in control of the scene. Everything is under control. And you just became the value in the room, and all of the vendors will lean on you for it. And afterwards, they're reaching out to you for images saying, like, that was so well curated. We can't wait to see what the work looks like.
So good, man. Thanks so much for sharing.
Yeah.
And we'll have Miles coming back later for like a little panel discussion if we have time. But Miles, like, I hope you stay in the chat as well. You can drop your links to the chat so people can follow your podcast and stuff as well.
Yeah, that's kind of.
And obviously, if you guys have any questions to Miles, he's gonna stay with us in the chat.
Shred me in the chat, guys. Let's go.
Thanks so much for this.
Yeah. And thanks, buddy. Excited for the next one.
See you, man. That was so good. I would like to invite now Megan from Cedar and Pine. If we can have, hey, Megan.
Hey, how's it going?
Very good. Like we're sweating here. We're
Yeah.
we're rolling, man.
Well,
How
I'm
are
just impressed
you?
with all of your like lighting setups. I'm currently in a co-working space in Telluride, so not the best lighting,
That's
but
good. It's all about the value that you're gonna give us.
yeah, that's
Like
right.
I can have nice lights and so on because I'm just interviewing you. You're the one dropping the knowledge here. So can you like briefly tell us about yourself and your brand?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm obviously a wedding photographer. I mostly shoot destination weddings, travel a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say my style is kind of more like maybe a mix between sort of documentary and editorial,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of depending on the day and the couple and what's going on, kind of utilizing both techniques, I guess. I shoot both film and digital, kind of mix of both. So, yeah, I'm based in Joshua Tree, but typically traveling throughout the summer. So this year I'm in Colorado for most of the summer, actually. And then was in Peru earlier this year and
Oh
going to Greece
wow.
later this year. So, yeah.
So I'm guessing you're busy right now, right?
Yeah, this is probably like the busiest time of year. I feel like August to like October is always like my busiest time of year.
Yeah, so we're so glad to have you here then.
Yeah.
Like the other day I've looked on your website. I love the design.
Oh, thank
It's
you.
it's just beautiful. It's just, it's just a vibe. Can you maybe tell like us a little bit about that part of your thing, like a design and like your idea
Sure.
for the brand? Because you operate
Yeah.
under a brand, not under your name.
Right. So Cedar and Pines is a brand that I created with my partner.
Hmm.
We we have like been working together. We're actually right now kind of expanding our team, maybe bring on some more people.
Hmm.
I actually really like having a brand name that's not my name.
Hmm.
I think there's some level of like I like having like a little bit of distance, I guess, in some ways. Like
Gotcha.
I'm also a fine artist on the side, and so this is like sort of one portion of like the art that I do, but it's not everything I do. And so I kind of like having that separation of the branding not being
Hmm.
my name. It also allows a little bit more flexibility if I want to bring on more people or change things up in some ways. And yeah, but yeah, as far as design goes, my best friend from college is actually a very well-known, accomplished designer.
Oh
And
wow.
so I'm really lucky to have worked with her to create all of the branding around our business
Hmm.
and the website stuff as well.
And
And actually, the website stuff is kind of cool because we use Squarespace,
mhm.
and since they like upgraded to I can't remember 9.2 or whatever, um, I can't remember what it's called, but it makes it super customizable and really easy to like change things up as far as design goes.
Like the blocks
And I
or
think
something. Yeah, they have some name for
yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah, as far as design goes, I really have always wanted it to be like mobile friendly first
Hmm.
before, because it's really easy to make a website look really good on a computer, but I've realized like I don't know, like 85% of the people visiting our website are doing it on
Hmm.
mobile. And so I want to make sure it's like looks just as good on mobile as it does on a computer.
And and you blog a lot, right?
Yeah.
Can you
Um,
tell us about the vlogging? What's like, why do you do this?
yeah. So I kind of use the blogging as a portfolio.
Hmm.
So like if you go to our website, you can kind of see there's like a portfolio link, and when you click on that, it just has a bunch of blogs basically, and kind of a curated selection of photos from each wedding. And yeah, I've been using the Pic-Time blogging system, and it's been really nice for like my workflow because it's super easy and it makes it look really nice. So having that kind of like design forward look, I think is really
Hmm.
important. And yeah, I think it's yeah, the Pic-Time blogging system is just really easy to use and um, kind of can you have a little bit more control over like how things are portrayed. And I like being able to incorporate the design stuff. So like all of our fonts and logos and colors and stuff are already integrated, and so it just makes it super easy.
Hmm.
Another thing I like to use the blogs for actually is I have guides that I send to couples whenever they book with us. So I have kind of like a wedding guide that I send to our couples that kind of goes into detail about like sort of how to plan for photos, some things to keep in mind with like lighting, and also just like talks a little bit more about my approach to weddings and things like that. But I'm able to use the blog system for it and lay everything out in like a really nice, well-designed way that like scrolls really easily. So it doesn't have to be like some weird PDF that they have to like download in their email and is hard to access on a phone. It's already like reformatting for the phone and stuff like that. So basically what I did in Pic-Time for that is I just made like a portfolio gallery that has like highlights of some of my favorite photos, and then I used that to make the blog to like write out all of
Wait, so
the
your
guide stuff.
workflow is first to pick the photos for the highlights. Like, can you like walk us through your workflow with like picking the photos, using them as a highlight? Do you do this
Yeah.
in PicTime, outside of PicTime?
Yeah, so typically like if I'm blogging a wedding, I'll I'll finish the gallery, I send it to the couple, and then maybe like a few weeks later, I'll end up blogging it on our website. And yeah, I basically go through the whole gallery and like pick my favorites. Um, and I'm kind of trying to pick things like design wise that pair well. So like a black and white photo with like a really bold
Wait,
color
if you don't mind,
image.
I'm gonna pull up the screen with your
Oh, sure.
blog post so like everyone can see what we're talking about. 1 second. Boom. I hope I picked a good one, Scotty and Taylor.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah. Oh, so this is what you're talking about, right? Two
Yeah.
images next together.
Yeah, and so, with blogging, I want to make sure that it stays like engaging throughout the whole thing, so it's not just like repeating the same similar images. I want
Mm-hmm.
to kind of create like visual interest by um, telling the story, but through images that like sort of contrast from each other or pair well together. Um,
Yeah, that looks great, and I can see like I love this. This is like one of this peak time blog templates where the images are like this. I
yeah.
love this as well. I use it for my blogs as well,
Hmm.
because as you say, it just makes things like not like less boring, like more,
Yeah.
pleasing to the eye, like interesting because you have to follow up with this. Can we show? I have a link from Aga. Can we show your the wedding guide?
Sure. Yeah.
Awesome. Wait, I'm just gonna. Can you like tell us a little bit about that guide?
Yeah. Do you have a password I can tell
I
you?
do, I do, I do, I do.
Okay.
Bam.
Yeah, so the
So this is
guide,
specifically for the clients that book you, correct?
yes.
Okay.
Hmm. Yeah, so once clients book, then I'll send them this guide. Um, and it kind of just, yeah, it goes into more detail about kind of how I work, things I'm looking for, um, tips for like planning your timeline, and details for like basically how to make the best out of your wedding photos, how to start planning for them.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and it's kind of like laid out in a format that starts with like the really broad topics, like the harder topics, like creating a timeline, like that's the big one. And then kind of like narrowing down into simple things like lighting for your reception, or like things to think about when you're getting ready.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and this kind
I'm
of,
guessing your clients love it.
yeah, I do get a lot of positive feedback about this. I think it helps because a lot of times clients, like most of the time couples, um, don't know what they're looking for with wedding photography. Even if, say they hire you and they're like, oh, I just like your photos. They don't actually know what they like about your photos or why your photos work in a certain way. And so I think having this guide gives people like a really detailed expectation of what your photos will look like, how I like to work,
Mm-hmm.
um, and things that they need to do in order to like get those kinds of photos, I guess.
Gotcha. That's beautiful.
Um,
That books you a lot of weddings too. Like
well,
again,
this is
that
kind of
that,
a
that
little
kind of comes to that
surprise.
service element, right?
Yeah, this is more of like a surprise people get once they're booked.
But I mean like you take care of your clients so much that they're probably just sharing with everyone that's like book Megan, she's the best.
Yeah, I do.
Um,
I like to be involved in the process. I
yeah,
think
that's
kind of
beautiful.
like
And
harking back
so
to what
long
Miles was saying,
too.
just about like being a resource for people. and kind of being there along the way and being available for people. Um, I think that,
I have just one more question
yeah.
to that regarding the tangible products. You deliver, I hear you deliver a lot of albums to your
Mhm.
clients. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah. So I recently started, maybe like a year ago, I've started talking about albums a lot more
Hmm.
with our clients. I realized people, once they're done with their wedding, like people are not really interested in dropping a couple grand on on an album after they've already spent all this money on their wedding.
Okay.
So I think with albums, I've kind of realized that like for me, I do really think that the printed product is important, and I'm always shooting with the printed product in mind, and
Hmm.
so I really want people to like print their photos and hang them in their house or get an album or things like that. And so I've kind of started talking about the process of albums from the beginning with
Hmm.
clients. So instead of it being a thing like at the end, like, hey, do you want to buy an album for a couple grand? Most people aren't like interested in that. So it starts at the beginning. Like I talk about it in our like onboarding calls or in our like initial client calls. Like, um, what do you envision? Where do you envision your photos living like after the
Hmm.
wedding's done? A lot of people will say like, oh, maybe an album or maybe printing some on the walls, and then we kind of start talking about it from there. Um, One thing I've learned that really helps too is with the albums, I always have them shipped to me first,
Okay.
and then with that, I will kind of set up a little photo shoot, and I'll take photos. I take photos of almost every album that I've ever
Oh,
made,
wow.
and use those as marketing materials. So I post about it on Instagram, or I have a whole like website page dedicated on my website
So
about
good.
albums that I'll send to clients. That way, it's like it's filled with photos of my work. People can see what the albums actually look like with my photos in them, and that way, it's not like some generic looking thing. There's photos of like real couples that I've worked with
Yeah,
in there.
I've even seen that on your Instagram. Like you posted a video of you like walking through like just flipping the pages of the
Mhm.
album.
Yeah. And I think the funny thing is that every time I do that, I end up getting a client from 4 or 5 years ago, like reaching out and being like, "Hey, actually, I think I want an
That's so
album."
good.
Like now that I've seen it,
That's so
and
good.
so yeah, I think it's such a simple thing. It's like if you post it, people will buy it.
People will see and be like, I want this. And
Yeah,
like you kind of
and you
that
kind of
also
have to
makes
like,
sense like from the people that like got married a couple years ago, maybe they didn't have
mhm,
money, maybe they didn't want to drop money like
right.
right away, but now they're like, "Oh my God, this is so beautiful. Why
Hmm.
not?"
Yeah. Yeah, so it ends up being a really cool thing. I think it's one of those things where people sort of have to see themselves in it
Yeah.
to see like the value of it. And then I also like when people order an album and it ships to me, I'll also include like a thank you card and like a little note from us, and
That's so
so it's a
good.
little bit more personal than just if they like ordered one online.
So that could be like a tip for everyone who's watching and listening right now. If you maybe try to take photos of your albums, take videos of your albums, because I kind of find it like the people that are most successful with selling printed products are the one who are actually showcasing those printed products. Like so many people are being like, "Oh, why am I don't know, Pic-Time Gallery is not making money." Oh, it's not making money because you're not helping. So this could be just a huge boost for any photographer, during the season, after the season, in between the season, actually in a slow season as well.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's huge. Thanks so much for sharing your story with us and your beautiful images. People in the chat are just like raging about your images.
Oh,
It's
thank
so
you.
good, so good.
That's so
So we'll
kind.
have Megan in the chat as well if you want to chat with her. You can also drop some of your links to your website, to your Instagram. And thanks so much for sharing this. We're gonna jump right now to the next to our next guest, Anna, brand name Ginger Eyes. You might know her from that brand name. If I can have you turning on the screen. Hi,
Hi, how
good
are
to
you?
see you. I'm very good. How are you?
I'm good as well. Having a
Where
little
yeah,
a little break, summer break for
summer break. Yeah.
for
Where
enjoying.
in the world are you right now?
I'm at home in Barcelona in my
Barcelona.
office. Yeah.
Nice, nice. So wait, I hear that straight after the recording today, you're running for like a photo shoot. Is that
Yeah,
true?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I have a photo shoot at basically 15 minutes after we finish. So
That's so crazy.
I'll just get in the car and go.
Wow. So good, so good to see you, Anna. Yeah, you've been killing it in the last couple of years. Like you're everywhere, everywhere. Like I turn on Instagram, Anna is there. I turn on,
Really?
yeah, you're just so good. Can you
Have
like
to hide away a little bit.
introduce yourself a bit, maybe to the audience that doesn't know you? Like, who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, I'm Anna. I operate under Ginger or Ginger's Eyes. And yeah, I'm also a wedding photographer. Sometimes I shoot for brands. I'm recently launched a brand as well that I'm working on a lot lately.
Wow.
So yeah, but basically a creative.
Nice. Like you're very, I would say you're very artistic in the way you do, and I also hear like that's the notes from Aga that you do have like like a kind of journey with your clients. Like, can you maybe tell a little bit about your workflow with the clients? What is your superpower like with dealing with your client?
Oh, not sure what you mean by journey with the clients. Not sure what you mean, but I guess I can actually relate a lot to the speakers today. They added a lot of value, I think, to every one of us, and I do a lot of the things that they have mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
In general, my clients are a little bit creative as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I think, like my sweet spot as well, because we always collaborate on the shoots, on the weddings and whatnot, and they're always very interested to maybe go beyond just the normal or traditional, let's say, or trendy wedding photography, and create something special for themselves, meaningful and profound. So yeah.
I feel like it's actually really valid what you say that you are artistic and you show art, and that's why you're kind of getting these type of clients who are interested in that as well, and then you can create art together. Because I find like many people often say like, "Oh, I would love to be so like more creative, and I would love to do stuff," or my clients are not like that. Do you have like any maybe tips or like how to start if you're like very regular, let's say boring photographer?
Yeah, I always say create for yourself in the first place. So we attract what we post, what we create. Like it's quite silly, right? To just post the regular client work and always expect that some amazing client will show up one day. Like it may happen, but most likely no. So I would say just first create for yourself, go out there, imagine your own, let's say, project, envision them, and then show them to the world, and the right people will come for sure. So I think that's the recipe that works 100% always. It just takes time. It never happens from one day to another overnight. Never.
And it's actually so simple, right? Just create and show it.
Yeah, exactly. We attract what we create.
Yeah, so beautiful. And you do like with like in terms of like your maybe post workflow with the clients, like you upload the gallery, let's say, you deliver the images. Do you use any of the Pic-Time stuff, like some specific tools in Pic-Time to help you with that? Like what's your thing? What's your favorite things?
Always. I use Pic-Time in so many ways, to so many extents, to be honest. I, first of all, love to curate my gallery in a special way. I always name each and every, how do you call those, scenes?
Oh, like the scenes.
Yeah, I name them chapters. So like I basically break down the wedding by chapters. So for example, chapter 1, the bride, chapter 2, the groom, chapter 3, the newlyweds and whatnot. Then I use automations. I know that no one has mentioned that before, but it's been great. So it's just a couple clicks and then you have everything set up. I use the early bird automation and the expiration date. So basically what it does is that it's like once I send the gallery out, it's going to send the email to the client saying that you have a discount right now to order the prints as an early bird, offer because you just got your gallery. And it's been working really great. And also, I think it's a great incentive to kind of sell the books later on. So once they get the taste of the prints and how it feels, to
You want more.
hold photographs. And that is so much better than just in a digital space. And it's, they have such beautiful photographs. It's just, it's a shame to keep them always on a hard drives.
True.
So once they get them, later on, they even ask themselves, like, if I offer any books, or if they can get a coffee table book. And then the expiration automation as well, it's been working great, because a lot of the times, let's say before the gallery expires, they're going to get the email that they can prolong or extend their gallery validity by, I think the fees are so like unimportant to, like the fees are very small that practically almost everyone does this, because nobody wants to, risk losing the photos in some.
True. And people do not have the workflows that we have. They don't have backups. They don't have clouds.
Exactly. Yeah.
They just have their iPhones and maybe some iPhone storage. But you hear horror stories all the time.
Yeah.
And
so I think it's super useful.
So it's so good. Like for me, the expiration is just so good, because I think like 2 days ago, I just got information from PayPal from a client that has been extending the gallery for 4 years already, like since the gallery expiration just started. Because like for them, it's just not a big amount of money, and they know the photos are safe in the cloud.
Exactly.
And they can access them at any point. So that's so good. I hear you also use a slideshow tool. Is that true?
Yeah, that's like a more creative part of the conversation. Yeah. I do slideshows. I don't do the typical horizontal slideshows. I do the vertical ones, since we're living in the age of social media and Instagram, even though I'm not like your typical content creator, like people who follow me probably know. But I love the vertical slideshow feature, because the clients can download it and directly just post it on their social media or share it with other people. And it's like a quick, beautiful and creative way to show the photos fast, and then they can dive into the gallery as well.
At what point do you deliver that slideshow? Is it upon delivering images? When you deliver a gallery, do you deliver slideshow, or do you do like a teaser or something like that? What's your workflow?
Yeah, I like doing a teaser. I think it's really cool.
So powerful too.
Yeah. And I've seen the question here, if I charge clients for downloads. No, I don't. Never.
Yeah, it's like, so the charging is so personal. I know photographers are like divided into groups of like everything is included in the price or nothing is included in the price.
Yeah.
But speaking about the slideshows, I do have one of your slideshows that I can actually show.
Let's see.
I think. Let me see. So talking about the vertical slideshows. Oh, can we see? Is that the one?
Yeah, you need to. Yeah.
Oh, this is the. Oh, and the little logo at the end. So you're sharing this you're offering this as a download, right?
Yeah. And it also, I think it's such a cool tool to kind of communicate your brand as well, because even the choice of music, like I always choose the music that I love. Like not the typical love story Bon Iver, even though I love Bon Iver kind of music, but like something that speaks to my soul, and also that of course fits the vibe of the wedding. And it's like it's really powerful, since music is one of the ways of expression. I think it's important to use all that we can.
So good. Yeah, it's beautiful. And do you also do like horizontal ones, or you don't bother with them? You only do those short ones?
I don't bother with them.
You don't bother. You just do this.
Although, like, I know that they function really well, but I love to do just the teasers, the vertical teasers that can be easily shareable.
That's so good. And I do love what you said about like the scenes, they're calling them chapters. I don't know if you use that or if you know that like there's a text feature that you can also add a text in between the
Where?
scene. So there's this, so there's a little letter T next to the slide
Yeah.
like this or specific scene, and when you click on that you can just add a text, so it would say like a chapter and then text.
It's beautiful.
I find that's not many people know about this.
No, I actually have been using this when I was delivering editorial work, and I would just include all the credits there in the text field.
That works for
the
that
brands,
as well.
for the brand designers and whatnot. But if you're into writing the little text, I think it's amazing.
Yeah, so good. Thanks so much, Anna, for sharing your beautiful work and so those tips with us. Stay with us for the panel. Like, of course, if you have to run for a shoot, run for a shoot. But we hope we're gonna have time to have you one more time on the screen. Thanks again for sharing your work.
Thank you.
Put your stuff in the chat so everyone can find you. It was great to have you. And now I would like to invite the last speaker of today, Adonye. Adonye. Let's go, man. Hello.
Hey, how's it going, man?
So good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Are you having
Maciej.
a good
What
time
name.
watching, being
I'm
the
having a
last one?
Oh, the last one, that's crazy. I have learned so much. I mean, anytime you can hear Megan talk, I feel like I need to change my whole business strategy. I'm like, man, if I could only just work for her, that would be amazing. and everybody, Anna said some good stuff. Miles said some good stuff. So this is like really incredible. So hey, thanks for having me.
And now you're going to say some good stuff. You're headlining today. So
I'm just going to repeat what everyone said.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, for the ones of you who are staying at the end, we're going to show the new feature of Pic-Time with Adonye. So the exclusive preview of the new feature is coming right after you. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, born in Nigeria. Here, I live here in Denver. I love to create, love to shoot weddings. That is like my thing. I love love, and I love that I get to do this thing. I love that we all get to do it. It's like so fun. I feel like we're all like listening to everyone talk. It's like, man, what a cool world they created. Like we're all kings and queens of this cool, neat, niche world. And in that, they get to like create their own vibe. And so I love it. I get to do that with my clients. And it just, you have so much liberty. Pic-Time helps with that, obviously, but it's really fun to be a part of it. Anyway, yeah. So about me, yeah, that's it. I'm cool. I like my life. I have a dog. I have a lot of hats. I didn't know which one to wear. I was like, oh, should I wear this hat?
Oh, man.
This hat.
Oh, you're ready. Oh, that was beautiful.
Not I looked at this. I was like, I have to wear a hat. Oh my gosh. And anyway, so anyway.
So good. So man, I hear that you do not also do photos, but also you create videos. Is that true?
Okay, that's a good question. I do now. We have just started creating video, and I got sick a few years ago, and it was at a wedding. I almost lost my eye. I had to get flown from the wedding back to Colorado to a hospital to have emergency surgery.
At the wedding. It happened at the wedding.
Well, it was like right before the wedding. Like we were in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, shooting or about to start shooting. And I went to the emergency room because I had like my eye was swollen. Yeah. Anyhow, long story short, they flew me back home. We had surgery.
You're okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm fine now. This is a real eye. It's normal. But for the time when I was in the hospital, I couldn't move. And there were so many people, like my friends, the doctors, nurses were moving around me. And I felt this like literally like this calling to change a little bit of my visuals at my work. I love my photo imagery, but also I needed a larger team because the guys who took over the wedding for me really stepped up. And then all the motion that was around me couldn't be told in a photograph. And I was like, I think I want to start video. So it's a very long story that I'm not including all the parts because we don't have enough time. But we started video, and we just did our first one a couple of weeks ago. And so we have the teaser trailers up. I haven't shared them anywhere yet, but the clients are getting to see them, and it's really exciting for us. Yeah, so it's a big change for me, and I think video was like my first love in in the visual arts, and so it's really cool that I get to like kind of dabble in that. And then I don't do the video myself; I have a team, but
Your team, yeah.
it's fun to be a part of. Yeah.
But you're adding to the experience with the client. What would you say is your goal with the experience of your clients when you know photograph them or deliver your gallery? You have like a certain goals in mind.
Good question, Magic. I would say that is a great question. My goal is for them. I mean, during their wedding, I just want them to have a good time. I don't have anything. I don't want to push or pull them, but I want to make imagery that's uniquely them, that shows off their love.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also want to come next to them and use my, whatever my skill is to accent, how the moments feel and all that. So when we're making imagery, that's something I'm thinking through. But as we all know, we're just in the game, so we're just doing it and we're just like shooting. And I want them to feel great. And then on the backside, when they see the galleries, I want them to feel, I want to take them back to the wedding a little bit, but also feel what I saw. Like I want that gallery to kind of feel unique to them. All my galleries will hopefully, to me, they look very different, but I'm sure to some people, they're like, oh yeah, that looks exactly the same. Maybe. But I want all the galleries to appear differently. All the things that I say, how I named them, the colors, the schemes are all very particular to each client. And
so you take time to actually adjust and the specific galleries to the specific clients, right?
Oh yeah, I'll write. You're talking about that text feature. I'll write in there sometimes little sweet notes, especially if I know them or something like that. I'll talk to them, or I'll talk about like what kind of film we use. So that's like I'll give some technical information in the notes section. I might name something like, a love story, as opposed to just their names. Or I think all the things I do would be looked down upon by really great photographers, because I'm just like, for me, it's not always about SEO. I want them to really just feel great when they come back. And I also want them to be rewarded every time they come back to a gallery. So, one of the weddings, Emily and Alex, we did this sort of slow release of the images. And it was great because every time I released a new section, I would change the banner image and change some of the things that it said. And then, so every week that the clients and their guests would come back to the gallery, they would have a new experience. And so hopefully they're rewarded and they have this like desire to continue to come back. And not that I want to like get them so tied to the gallery, but I think we've talked about it a little bit. I think Miles said it and Anna said it. It's like, we don't want our images to become like this image graveyard, or our collections where the photos sort of die on our phones or on hard drives, or like we take all of these photos of people and we're working so hard and we're creating all these images. And then sometimes like the mom doesn't see it for like 2 years, or like, like the vendors really want to see it, and the mom wants to see it, but I think they get that itch scratched with cell phones. And so if the client doesn't share the photos with everybody, then it's very often that the guests at the wedding don't see it, and there might be photos of the guests that they don't ever see. And I don't think my clients, I don't fault them. I think I want to take more ownership of like how the images get sent out and spread to everyone. And, and so that's something I think about quite a bit, especially after talking with you guys. I was like, oh man, I want more people to see the entire gallery. I want the clients to be excited about it. And so, anyway, saying a lot of stuff that.
Yeah, that sounds so good. And like, can you just tell me about like you said you were like giving the sections of the images to the clients delivering? Like, what was the goal here? I'm sorry, my camera is disappearing because it's just too hot inside and it's just dying. I hope it's gonna work.
So I think it's the same way I think about imagery. I think about like if I'm looking at a photo and I'm deciding whether or not this photo is worth sending, in my mind, I think, okay, if their eye is drawn to this corner of the photo, are they rewarded? Is there like serotonin pumped in their brain saying, oh, I liked looking at a different part of that photo. Oh, I liked looking over here. And so that's sort of the way I think about the gallery as well, is I want them to open up the gallery and then to be excited about opening up a new section, or coming back to it in a week. I don't want it to be boring or
I love
stagnant.
this, man.
Yeah, and so I think what happens is what I did, and I've done it for a few weddings. Sometimes it takes some time, so I don't always have time to do it. But when I will slowly release parts of each section, let's say the dancing or something. And everybody wants to share dancing photos because they're awesome and they're fun and they're easy for us to edit. So let's say I start with the dancing photos and that's the banner image. And when I click on the photo, they're like, oh, I want to share these photos with my friends. Boom, simple, easy. And then the next time I'll be, I'll just think about, depending on the client, like, okay, which one are we going to do next? Let's go to a softer version. And so I'll change the banner image, change the colors, and then change what they see first when they come to the gallery. And
So
next time
so
they,
playful. I love
oh
this,
yeah,
man.
I'm playful. Let me tell you. Oh my gosh, a little
But
too
this is
playful. I don't know.
like
Yeah.
it's exactly what you're like. It just gives the first of all incentive to come back to the gallery. So that's a good point. But then like being excited about seeing something else, that's so big. I have never heard anyone doing this.
Well,
This
I
is
don't know
so
if
you.
it
I
will.
love this.
Yeah, no, just kidding. Yeah, thanks. Man.
Thanks so much for sharing this and sharing your tips here. I'll have you staying with us, and I'll invite all of the guests right now back to the stage for a moment. We're gonna have like a little panel with just a few questions to everyone. It was so great. I loved how everyone talked about something else, but also you've been kind of, all around this same. I feel like the Miles side, you started strong with the relationship, and everyone kind of followed a bit, saying their own, giving their 5 cents in the same topic. So my question is with the like if you deliver your photos, like this is for all of you and like whoever feels you can answer. If you're delivering your photos to the clients first, obviously, and then you want to share it with the vendors, how do you like so far how have you been like curating the gallery? We're like, do you send like entire gallery? Do you pick the the photos, just the specific scenes photos? What's your workflow when sharing photos with the vendors?
I can answer part of that.
Yes, please.
Sometimes the vendors aren't allowed to see like faces, or they're not allowed to see, or not allowed to share faces
Hmm.
for some of the clients. And so every once in a while, I'll give a curated gallery specifically for the vendors.
Hmm.
That way, they can share only the florals or something like that. I know that the AI would probably help me do this,
Yeah,
but I'm too old
now
school,
with
so I
vendor
just kind of
network, it's gonna be too
yeah,
quick.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be so easy. But yeah, that's normally my workflow is to send them a curated gallery, very separate. And then maybe the planner can see everything, but the planner knows that, there's some sharing, whatever the sharing rules are.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Do you guys have any other ways of doing this? I'm asking the group.
I usually was sending the entire galleries, but only to the wedding planner. And
Hmm.
then the wedding planner would just distribute the gallery among the rest.
Hmm.
But I think right now, like now with the vendor network, that's definitely we're gonna be adding everyone and then sharing the curated sections would be really
Hmm.
helpful.
There's a great question in the chat. Do you ask the couple about that beforehand? Like Anna, probably if you're working with wedding planners, like this is if you're sending to wedding planners, it's easy. That's them, right? They know probably who wants to see the images. But like for example, Miles or Megan, you deal with like vendors and you ask couples
Yeah.
beforehand. What's your vibe?
I always ask couples ahead of
Hmm.
time, usually before the wedding, actually, if
Okay.
they're open to sharing photos with vendors, and if they have any like thoughts on that. Some people are just like, yeah, totally share whatever, I don't care. Some people are
Hmm.
like, just share photos of like their work and maybe like some portraits, but nothing showing any of the other guests. I think that's a pretty common one where I'll end up kind of curating a gallery that has most of the photos from the wedding, but doesn't include photos of guests.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's kind of makes sense. And for like the specific galleries, I don't know if you've seen that. That's for you and for like people in the chat as well, or like audience. There's now the face scan to access the gallery. So if you have a wedding that is very sensitive in terms of privacy, you can like allow access only for people that scan their faces using the app and only show the images like that are them in those images. Like this is insane.
That's cool.
It's called Face Scan, new feature. Everyone check it out. There's like multiple ways of set this up. Okay, I have one more question for like the entire crew here. Do you like if you could give like probably that's like a lot of people always ask about like the marketing tips. So like you Anna like talked briefly about that. Like how do you market yourself to attract the right clients? So I would love to hear the rest of you. Like, what is your ideal way of doing this? Like, do you have any tips on how people can do that?
I mean, I think what Miles touched on earlier was really good about just like creating relationships as being like a really good way to market. And I think especially when it comes to like vendors and wedding planners specifically, I think the more that you can serve like the people who are going to be potentially hiring you, such as the wedding planner, the better off you're going to be. And so sometimes like I'll ask planners ahead of a wedding, like, what are you particularly excited for? Is there anything that you really want to make sure gets captured well? Just to make sure that I'm not only like creating photos for the couple, but I'm also making sure that I'm serving the vendors I'm working with.
And they're
and I
also
feel like
getting the Megan experience, right?
yeah, and then like that kind of I think helps in future relationships too, for them to be like, oh, we're working with, I want to work with this person because I trust them, or I know they're going to be considering my work.
Nice, nice. How about you, Miles? Like you do a lot of relationships. So again, do you have ideal, like, would you say, do you have ideal client, or this is all your friends and family at this point?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's 100% a target market for who we're going after, but I'll say it's like less something that you could find out on a questionnaire, and more something that happens when you sit face to face and you can kind of like connect with people. And so, I mean, a big part of the marketing process for us is literally forcing people to understand that like efficiency isn't the goal here. I don't want to be efficient on your wedding day. I want you to have an incredible day. I don't care if that means we're 10 minutes behind. We're 10 minutes behind. It's okay, right? I don't want to send you over a 5-page questionnaire that asks you if you're vanilla or chocolate ice cream, because that answer doesn't mean anything to anybody. It genuinely doesn't, and it gets looked over by every vendor. You just glance by those because you didn't care about the answer anyway. So instead, I want to jump on a call with these people. I want to humanize them and understand what makes them tick and what they're excited about. And, you know, each couple is going to give you a little bit of a different answer about what it is that they're excited about. But then to push that further into the vendor community as well, to say like, hey, I think Anna or maybe Megan just touched on this, like to call the wedding planners and say like, what is there? Is there something that you've poured a little bit of extra love in? Can I build some time in the schedule to make sure that we do that justice?
So good.
I mean, that's like marketing at its most basic. And to be honest, it's marketing at its most effective. But then I think also just making sure that your brand identity and the way that you talk about yourself and the way that you conduct yourself reaffirms all of those processes, so that when people meet you, you are who they expected to meet. So my clients see me all the time. They see me with a picture of either a bourbon in my hands or a coffee in my hands. And then when we meet for a glass of wine, it's not like there isn't a separation in who I am as an artist and who I am as a brand.
That makes so much sense. The last thing I want to present, and I want you guys to stay as well on the screen as well. There's a new feature coming to Pic-Time. So Adonye is going to be really happy about this, and probably like you guys shoot some clips as well, like video clips. Like Miles, Anna, Megan, do you shoot some short videos? Like So far in the Pic-Time gallery, you've been able to only include GIFs or GIFs, depending how you say that. But now, so the new feature coming very soon to Pic-Time is going to be ability to actually upload video. I'm going to just show you like a little gallery presentation with include clips. So this is the gallery, like a teaser that I delivered for my clients, and I started making these clips from my camera. So this is like my camera. I'm using cameras that shoot 120 frames per second, so they do like this really fast video. So this is actually MP4 file now in the gallery. So this is a video. So there are two ways that the videos are going to be able to be added to the gallery, either like this as a clips next to the photos. So if the clip is going to be less than 1 minute, you're going to be able to just upload the clip just like photo and have it inside your gallery. Or if you have a longer videos, I believe up to, I don't remember, up to 90 minutes, I think. Then you can just create a separate gallery with just a video, high quality 4K video to be downloaded by the client. So this is like a long awaited feature. So I hope you guys are also going to be using this. I find this like so good, especially, in the ages that we do, probably a lot of us do get into that photo video hybrid space. We work with the teams as well. So this is it. I hope you're excited. Show the
This is
excitement to the
brilliant.
Yeah,
camera,
that's
everyone.
incredible.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I'm
Very
sitting
cool.
here looking
Cool.
at the guy on the other end of my camera that does the video for our company, and he's just sitting with a giant smile on his face. So thanks for
Oh,
making
that's
Jared feel
perfect.
seen.
That's so good.
Very
Okay,
cool.
guys, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks so much for sharing your knowledge. It was great to have you, Miles, Anna, Adonye, Megan. Beautiful. So thank you so much. It's been amazing. Thanks so much for everyone in the chat for being here. This video is also going to be on the YouTube channel, so like the entire stream is going to be re-uploaded. And you can come back at any time for like to these gold nuggets. And once again, thanks so much. Have a great rest of the season. Keep killing it. And I hope to see you very soon in person, maybe.
Likewise. Thank you for doing this. See
Thanks,
you.
Magic.
Cheers, guys.
Ciao.
Thanks, everyone. Bye bye. The stream is off. All right.